Welcome back to Nothing But Football, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the Friday show.
Let's go.
Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you're ready for the weekend ahead. Joining me today, Ben Bowman. How you doing?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good.
We're shooting this a little bit later on in the afternoon on Thursday. We are slightly not rushing at all. I was rushing the setup. That's what it was. Henry Hill, how are you? Sorry, can you actually hear me from that ear?
What? Yeah, I've perforated one of my eardrums, I think, so this is going to be a struggle. But what better way to cure it than
How
with
did you
two
do that,
good
Henry?
friends? I held it in a sneeze. Don't do it.
To be fair, you secured some lad points by how you actually did it, because you were holding 3 pints.
That is true. I don't know if we
Didn't want to spill the...
I don't know if this is being advertised or anything, but I want to take a moment to talk about the dangers of holding a sneeze. You'll end up like
Today's
me.
sponsor is Henry Hill. Well, yeah, there you guys have it. To kick off the podcast, a little bit of friendly health advice for you at home. But this is all about football, of course. And so, as you can see by the title, we're doing a bit of a fun episode as we're going to be looking at possible cheap alternatives to some of the overpriced stars that are possibly on the move this summer. So the way it's going to work, Henry Hill over here, mainly because he can't hear so well, is going to listen to mine and Ben's suggestions around possible alternatives, cheaper alternatives for some of the bigger rumours around there, or hidden gems that you guys or these clubs or possible transfer targets should be looking at. So a couple of people will mention Gyokeres, for instance, Sesko, and we'll back up another striker who might not cost them. The same price. Me and Ben will then both have a suggestion to each position or player, and Henry Hill will make the decision on who they should go for.
Can I just say now, I will be doing this partly based on what you tell me.
Okay.
I mean, based on the
Fine,
evidence.
buddy.
This is, it's
Fine,
all,
buddy.
Just based on how convincing we are, basically.
yeah, because if we've done this before where people have just got preset ideas of what's right and what's wrong, and they've been lazy of the research. No, not today. Basically, I'm being salty for every time I've not had my players picked. So the point is, charm me.
Yeah,
Charm
sell
me.
it.
Charm me. Okay, then. Well, let's kick off, I think, with one of the biggest rumours so far this transfer window. And it's the left wing position in general. We've seen Rodrygo kind of been the main one that me and Ben have kind of targeted towards. Obviously, he's being linked to several clubs, actually. Arsenal, one of the strongest, for supposedly upwards of £76 million for his services. We've also seen Jamie Bynoe-Gittens as well, kind of linked in that same left wing position for possibly upwards of £55 million. So it's definitely a wanted position for several different clubs. Without further ado, Ben, I'll let you kick things off.
So I kind of went down, I got a few different suggestions, kind of went down a few different routes with it. I think the main one that I wanted to put forward was Ademola Lookman. He's still not going to be, again, some of these cheaper options aren't going to be saving
pennies,
tons and tons of money. But Rodrygo, it's been rumoured about 80 million pounds. So Lookman, I think, would probably cost you, I reckon, around half of that, probably towards 40, 50 million. He's experienced, 27, he got 20 goals and assists last season. With obviously Atalanta, Gasperini leaving, looks like Lookman could be on the move. He adds that versatility across that front line where someone like maybe Rodrygo doesn't. Obviously, I think Rodrygo can excel on the right and the left, but Lookman can play through the middle as well. And if you're Arsenal, maybe looking to cover off two birds with one stone. I mean, Arsenal will go and sign a striker, so I think it's, you're signing someone purely to play out on the left. But I think Lookman's got a lot to offer, and I'd love to see him come back to the Prem. Again, this is, if there's other teams like Liverpool maybe looking at someone like Rodrygo who could do with maybe a more versatile forward, I think Lookman, teams should probably be looking at him in the Prem this summer. I don't think he'll go to that level, to be honest. But I definitely think you could get some very, very good value on a player for around 40, 45 million with the goal scoring ability that he does have and that versatility. Again, another couple, like, you've got other proven ready names there in Marcus Rashford, who will be probably sold at a cut price from United this summer. I still think that Rashford's got a lot to offer. I think you saw that at Villa in kind of fits and spurts, but for the most part, I thought it was quite good. And I think a new environment, you could see that hunger kind of really sort of come back. Alejandro Garnacho is one as well. Like, if you could get Garnacho for like 40 million, with the upside that I still think he does have, again, there's obviously going to be questions around his entourage and his brother and all those kind of things. It's just a bit of a nightmare. But I think if they're willing to let him go for around £40 million, I'm not necessarily saying Arsenal should do that. I think they should go and get the
lights out,
the elite option in Rodrygo. But I don't think Garnacho is like anywhere near as bad a shout as people are making out for a team that wants a left winger. Again, around £40 million, similar price, I reckon, to Lookman. And then another player at the end of the scale, the older scale, would be Kingsley Coman. 29 years of age. I still think he's got a bit to offer, but I think that would be the cheapest of kind of cheap options. So I'm going to put forward Lookman just for that versatility and the value I think you could get with him.
Yeah, he fell out as well. Obviously, the manager's changed there, but he did fall out of the manager at the time. Obviously, at Atalanta, he's kind of done what he can, I think, at times with how he feels with things in his career so far in Serie A.
Do you know who they've got in as the new manager?
I don't actually.
Ivan Juric. He got sacked twice last year at Roma and then Southampton, and has managed to get a Champions League club.
That's crazy, isn't it? I didn't realise
maybe he's
that.
a good maybe he just sells the project really well in boardrooms. That's poor. Yeah.
You could sack me from this, and I could go on to present Match of the Day. That's basically
that's what's happened.
Yeah,
he's failing.
I'm not
upwards.
sacking my friend.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean that then wouldn't shock me if a few players decided to try and find clubs elsewhere, especially when
Pulisic is trying to move.
Yeah,
there's a few really good players there who probably are thinking time's up.
Time's up for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of the players I first thought about, and I'm not suggesting him, but mainly because I thought it was worth just mentioning him, because I know you brought him up a couple of weeks ago, Henry, and Malik Fofana. We've then since seen Lyon possibly get relegated to Ligue 2 in France, and a lot of their talented players could be on the move. There is still up for, I don't think it's 100% confirmed just yet. I think they're going to try and go to maybe the Court of Arbitration or whatever it might be for sport to see if they can appeal it. So who knows? Apparently now that Textor sold his stakes in Crystal Palace, the money is there for Lyon, so they might end up staying. However, if money is still needed, they might need to sell a few players in order to do that. And these guys are obviously super talented, especially Malik Fofana, who he shouldn't be playing in Ligue 2, that's for sure. He can easily be playing for a Premier League side or a Ligue 1 side, that's for sure. But he's actually not the one I put forward here. I've gone for Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, I like that.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think we sometimes forget, is only 24 years old. He's been playing football since he was 16 years old. He's had some terrible injuries in his time. However, in the last 2 years, has really taken huge leaps and bounds to kind of stay fit. Last season, we saw him play the majority of games possible. He only missed 5 games due to injury last season. And those injuries were like little nickels, nothing like crazy ankle injuries or MCLs or ACLs like we have seen for him during his career. Now, one of the really nice things about the Hudson-Odoi situation is his contract is ending at the end of this season coming. So if there's any time they're going to make money on him, it'll be this summer or the winter window coming in a couple of months' time. So if they're going to make a decent profit on him, considering they got him, I think they paid £3 million to get him from Chelsea. His obviously Chelsea career really kind of ended up in the gutter. Obviously had that poor loan move to buy Leverkusen when Xabi Alonso came in and basically didn't fancy him in that side. And so he's managed to put his career back on track. The last 2 seasons, I think, of Forest have really shown what Callum Hudson-Odoi can do. He has that finish on lock. The cutting onto his right-hand side and going down and putting it into the top right-hand corner. Did that against Liverpool this season, did that against Chelsea the year before, has done it multiple times. That is his kind of that Iron Robin finish of putting it onto a stronger foot and cutting in. And I think this is one of the things that Arsenal need to think about, right, and what they want for this left winger. They have Gabriel Martinelli. Then if they end up selling him, it's a different situation. But they do have Gabriel Martinelli, who is still a very talented forward, someone who still himself is only 24 years old, can develop, but I think is a bit more of that kind of wants to be a bit more of that touchline winger at times or used in that way. Can do it both, but bringing someone in to give him competition is what this position is going to be doing. Some of the other things, obviously, about Callum Hudson-Odoi, he can be that touchline winger if you need him to be. He can do both sides. He played on the right at times as well. Arsenal do need to think about what they're going to do to preserve Saka's minutes. Last year, you saw what can happen when Saka gets injured. When he's out of that side, that Arsenal team really, really, really do drop off. And if you look at Callum Hudson-Odoi's like stats or numbers or his FB ref, the charts, they're not jumping off the table, but I think you do need to remember the system he's playing in at Forest. Yeah. He is much more of a direct player. He's not being asked to kind of do lots of passes with the ball. He's not being asked to play against low blocks. His whole thing is playing on the counter-attack. Yeah. And he has that pace. He's always had that pace about him. But he has shown in his time that he can play in sides that do want possession, that do have more of the ball, and can be a very tricky winger, can be a skillful winger. That was one of his very high parts of his game when he was coming up through the Chelsea academies. Now, in his best season at Chelsea, which I think is what you want to compare it to when he's playing in a similar system, or at least a system that's a bit more ball dominant, he was creating nearly 1 goal action a game. Which is similar to what Rodrygo's doing now at Real Madrid. Yeah. And so he has shown before he can do that. He can achieve those targets. And I don't think you have to pay crazy amounts of money. Not like the Elanga situation in Newcastle, where they are saying you need to pay over £60 million to get him. I don't think that happens with Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think if you're looking at somewhere like 30 to 40, they might entertain it, considering they're going to lose him for nothing next year. It would surprise me if he signed a contract extension without other clubs coming towards him.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I found the Rodrygo one quite hard to try and find some value, because I think a lot of the winger options that maybe you'd look at that are Premier League proven, their value is so incredibly inflated. Like if Arsenal can't get Rodrygo, you want to chuck someone like maybe Semenyo into the frame. Yeah. But Bournemouth are asking for similar money for Semenyo than what Rodrygo, Real Madrid would for Rodrygo. So it's like there's no real value there. So I think Hudson-Odoi is, not to, obviously I'm trying to convince you to pick my player. Yeah, I think Hudson-Odoi is a decent shout.
I think they're both really fun options.
They're different, aren't they? I don't know whether Arsenal ever actually do it, but for a cheaper alternative.
Yeah. I actually think they're pretty level in terms of footballers. Although Lookman, I even think what he did when Atalanta won the Europa League, what he did with Nigeria in the AFCON, the most recent AFCON, he was absolutely fantastic at that tournament there. So he is a big tournament player. He is a big moment player. And this thing about Hudson-Odoi is we haven't actually seen... we haven't seen that explosive moment from him, I suppose. Not explosive moment, as in he hasn't...
come good on what could have been.
Yeah, I almost want him to have that opportunity. I do think, for the sake of getting a cheaper alternative at this point in time, I do think Hudson-Odoi is an interesting choice for this one. Very similar players, these guys, in many ways, in the way that they dribble. And it's tricky. I'm going to go on Hudson-Odoi on this occasion, but I really hope Lookman gets a move for this.
It wouldn't shock me as well if the owner of Forest, Marinakis, goes 60 million for Hudson-Odoi. Rather lose him than do it. But it's interesting. I don't know if anyone will ever... Because one of the other things as well with Hudson-Odoi, he has been very complimentary to Forest and always says about how great he's having a time there, how much he enjoys it. I think they've got such good squad cohesion there too.
Yeah, and Nuno's kind of turned his career around, really, isn't he?
Exactly, he was so... I think really in the last couple of days he did an interview and he mentioned about Nuno and how big a part he's played.
If I was him, I'd probably stay. The thing is, Lookman...
But if Arsenal comes...
Lookman probably wants to move more.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
But yeah, I think I would test
Henry
the waters.
Hill would do that. No, happy days. I think the next one we're going to talk about is Xavi Simons, obviously the attacking midfielder. I think you could also maybe put / Eze, really?
Yeah.
As well, in that kind of
those are two names that kind of get banded together.
For that same position. Those guys have been kind of linked at the moment. We're seeing Xavi Simons kind of touted for £70 million to get his services. Obviously a very talented player, but only joined them permanently, obviously, in the winter window. They're trying to make their money here, and that's fair enough. I can go forward with this one because I'm going over to La Liga.
Nice.
I'm going over to Villarreal.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm talking about Alex Baena. Alex Baena. Alex Baena has had a really good year this year. 23 years old, actually 24 at the end of this month. So still very, very good age to get some good quality out of him. I think as well, if you're thinking about some of the teams that are looking at this kind of position, Spurs being a big one for that attacking midfield role. Now, last season, he is actually counted down, statistically, as playing the majority of his games as a left winger. He's not a left winger. No. He if anything, can play central midfield if needed. He's that attacking midfielder, can drift out to the left-hand side and do that. He's a right-footed player, can cut in onto his right foot, but he's more of a central figure. And I think if you're going to be building him into your side, you're playing him in that kind of role, not so much to let him out into the left, or specifically on the left. He can drag out there, that's absolutely fine. But he is more of that central midfield player. But like Simons, can be versatile in that as well. And I think that's one of the things you're looking for if you're looking for that Simons kind of player. Likes to drop deep, like to pick up the ball and spray passes. He's not necessarily creative in the way like he wants to beat a man and make something from that. More creative from his passing. His passing range is ridiculous.
He's a playmaker, isn't he? He's more like an actual playmaker.
Outrageous. Watching him playing long balls across field, over the top, putting balls, short, quick passes, triangles, or playing through balls, breaking defensive lines of the ball along the floor. He can do it all. He really, really is impressive. He also has this fantastic ability to pick up the ball on the left-hand side and play a right-footed cross deep into the box to tap away. Villarreal have multiple opportunities for this. He's obviously a Spanish international as well, and has had multiple caps for them doing this same thing. I actually think he was kind of maybe let down a little bit last year in the attack. He should have probably had more assists than he did last season. But yeah, one of his best traits is that ability to put in those balls from that left-hand side and put them in. He also crashes the box late, which I really like to see from these players. That kind of, I've always put down, mainly obviously being a Chelsea fan, but that Frank Lampard run where they crash it into late, pick it up from a cut back and can put it into the back of the net. Now there are reports of supposedly £42 million being the fee for him. Atletico Madrid are chasing him. They actually tried to get him in January as well. This is a move that I actually could see Atleti doing pretty quickly. But at the moment, he's available. I think Villarreal are also kind of accepting that they're going to lose him this month or in the next month or two to one of these higher sides. He really is a very special, fun player to watch as well. So yeah, Alex Baena is my suggestion.
Yeah.
I
known about him for a while. So
he's been. Yeah, he was linked with a move to the Prem not long ago as well. I think Spurs were monitoring him. It was a rumour that came about a couple of years ago. He's very, very talented. I've gone for someone who's slightly different in profile. I think Baena is more of like Baena is more of a like playmaker. I've gone for Harvey Elliott. I think one thing with Xavi Simons is that I see Simons as like a proper 10. Someone who can play all across that front line, especially on the right as well. I really like Simons. And if I'm putting my Spurs hat on, and I actually think there's another team that Elliott really suits, actually, which I'll say in a sec.
Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham. Or actually, well, I'll say no. I think Newcastle should be looking at Harvey Elliott because I think, obviously, Newcastle are in the market for someone like Elanga, raw pace, on the counter-attack, suits their system, but I think they're going to be coming up against more low blocks this year. I think that right winger option should be someone that's a little bit more creative, and I think Elliott would be actually perfect for that. But if you look at the sort of teams that are maybe targeting Simons, Spurs are one that have been linked. They probably want someone who can play right wing and 10, and Elliott can do that. Look at what he did yesterday for England under-21s, just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. I think he has got proper X-factor talent, and I think he will go somewhere and absolutely explode. Like, it's a bit of a shame for him, really, because I think he's definitely good enough to play for Liverpool. Not as unfortunately for him, he's got one of the best 10s or one of the most exciting young 10s in the world that's just come in and added another hoop for him to jump through to try and get into the team. And obviously, Mo Salah, the best right wing in the Premier League on the right-hand side. So he's just not going to get much game time there, which is a shame because I think it's just maybe the wrong time for him at Liverpool because I think he's definitely talented. And I think if Liverpool do sell him, buyback clause, get that inserted 100% because he's still only 21, 22.
Yeah.
If he's playing for under-21s.
yeah. He's class. I really think he's good. The ability to win matches like we saw yesterday for England.
Got a fair amount of experience under his belt as well now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has played a lot of football at a relatively young age.
Yeah, he came for a Fulham.
Yeah.
Joking aside, he did
Fulham
actually.
Had that Blackburn loan move as well, where he was very, very good.
If Fulham have got the money, it's something they should do. But I think Elliott is definitely good enough to play European football. And I think he would be a really nice alternative to Xavi Simons in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach. I do agree with this
I
one.
thought I'd try and lend to your favour of a...
But what you don't know is Brexit means Brexit, which means I'm picking the second.
If he played
English
for
guy in a
Betis,
row.
she might be okay.
Yeah. No, Baena, I do like him. Villarreal never particularly interesting to watch as a team. But
What have you played? Is it Tiara Barry?
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Everton.
If I was Baena, they're back in the Champions League next year. If I was them, I'd stick around for a bit. Although, as you say, like Atletico, that's exactly the kind of move I can see Atleti doing. I just think Harvey Elliott, I completely agree. This is a guy that needs to be made the main man in a team. And that's the problem. Like, he could stay at Liverpool and fight for minutes, but he will never be the main man in that side. There's just so many big names at this point.
Yeah.
And I just want to. I think this tournament is showing just how good he is because he's up against like the elite of the youngsters, and he's standing out as he's going to be in like the team of the tournament, all said and done. So I really do like Harvey Elliott, and I think Liverpool are honest enough to know that they well, they've said it themselves. He needs to go get game time. 35, 40 million pounds. I think that's a bit of a snip.
Yeah, Brighton had a bit. I don't know if it actually happened, but Brighton were looking around 40, weren't they? It's such like a Brighton signing. I think that's the thing with me with Elliott is that personality. Like, there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't like him, think he's a bit cocky, a bit arrogant. But I think one of the reasons that sometimes these players don't make that jump from the England under-21 youth setups to playing regular Premier League, Champions League football as well is sometimes they might be good enough, but they just don't have that ability to grab the game and make their personality come from the pitch. I think Elliott is. I love it. Those goals yesterday were absolutely unbelievable.
If I was Borussia Dortmund, I'd be looking at Harvey Elliott,
100%.
going, like, "We'll find a place for you in our team," because he's got that style which would explode in Germany, I think. So
I feel like that was a transfer rumour at some point.
I feel like it probably was. I think he's a sort of
Borussia
player.
Dortmund young player.
Or Leipzig as well. Like,
oh, you don't want to go there.
no, but like I'm pretty sure that's a sort of transfer rumour that you'd see. Yeah, you could see it. You could see absolutely class, I think.
No, fair enough. Okay, well, from an attacking-minded midfielder to probably a bit more of a defensive one. However, interestingly, Adam Wharton is the guy we're going to be talking about. Not necessarily a super defensive player. More known, I think, for his passing ability as well, though he does definitely chip in with those tackles and interceptions as well. Very, very good at that. Now, look, there are rumours. There aren't necessarily concrete rumours, but there are rumours. I think every big club are looking at him, that's for sure. Liverpool have been rumoured. Real Madrid have been rumoured, supposedly to be keeping an eye on Adam Wharton.
Unbelievable.
He's had a meteoric rise, hasn't he, over the last year and a bit whilst at Palace. Sadly, had that injury as well at the start of the season, so we saw him, I think it took a little bit of time getting back into the run of things as well when he came back from injury. But he had a hell of a season in the end, obviously winning the FA Cup. £70 million, I think, is maybe the minimum he ends up going for. It could be even more than that if he was to go, say, this summer or even next summer after another stellar year. Who knows if there's maybe some sort of release clause after a certain amount of years, but he's done an incredible job. So, Ben, I'll let you go first with this one because Wharton is a unique footballer, isn't he? And if you're looking for that kind of profile, they aren't everywhere.
No. I've got some insane value for you here, Emery. I'm not going to lie. I've got when I was thinking about Wharton, I also had Belieber in the back of my mind as well. Just like because I feel like those two get banded into the same kind of conversations a lot of the time. One of them is going to go. Yeah, they are quite different, but one of them is going to go for 100+ million or like around that sort of fee. So if a team is looking at one of them, which every team will be, more experienced kind of shout. Douglas Luiz for around 25 million if Juventus do want to get rid, maybe even cheaper. Nicola Ravella at Lazio as well, slightly younger. I think he's around 23. Very good at breaking up play. If you're thinking about what Wharton does really well, it's breaking up play and then playing through the lines. Yeah. And then I think Ravella's quite good at that. He's more someone that breaks up. Good passer though. But two younger options who you could get insane value with. Lucien Agume at Sevilla, who's been playing for France's under-21s. He's actually 23, but obviously 21 when the qualifying started or whatever. Valued only at around £10 million. Didn't play, I think, in their semi-final last night, but had quite a lot of minutes in the tournament prior to that. He profiles quite similar to someone like Zubimendi. I think Arsenal were actually looking at Agume as an option. Obviously, they've gone for Christian Norgard, which I think actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I read that as well.
They've gone for more experience to replace Partey and Jorginho. Totally get that. But if you were looking for someone who's a bit younger, I think they definitely should have maybe gone for him. He is brilliant at breaking up play and progressing the ball, but he's also, I think he's around 6'1", quite tall, has that physicality as well. Likes to dribble through the press as well as play through it, which is what Wharton's kind of more known for. Yeah. Those kind of punchy, line-breaking passes. If you've got someone that can do that, but also dribble through the press and use that physicality and that frame that he's got, I think he's a really good option. Yeah, valued at around £10 million. I think you get some great value. It'd be more than that, probably close to 20. And then Amadou Kone at Reims. Is that how you say it?
Reims.
20 years old, so 3 years younger. Profile's quite similar to Agume. Very exciting. I think Liverpool have had him on the radar. Again, 6'1", left-footed. So again, similar to Adam Wharton. On a kind of a bit of a rise at the moment. A lot of top clubs looking at him. I think Man United would link with him as well. He's just going to be one of those. He's from the Ivory Coast, but one of those midfielders in the French league that everybody is kind of looking at. He will get linked with absolutely everyone.
Wow. Sangare, like he was for years.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my two shouts. I'm going to go with Agume. I think he's slightly more experienced. Obviously, Sevilla had a really poor season last season, finishing just above the relegation zone, but he is a real standout talent over there, and I think he's someone that should be on everybody's shopping list if they're looking for a DM this summer.
Just for context on Reims, they got relegated. They lost the playoff against Metz and got relegated. However, as a result of this Lyon business, There's a chance they'll be back in the big time, baby. So yeah, I guess that will depend. Well, maybe not. If people put some money towards Rance, then they'll probably sell.
Again, his market value, I saw it was around 4 million. I mean, he's obviously going to go for more than that. But if you could get him for around 50, there's such insane value with either like some of these young French players or like young African midfielders in the French league. We saw it with Pat Matassar coming to Spurs a few years ago. There's been some really good examples of these players who have such great physical profiles, good athletes, but also these two great at breaking up the play and progressing through the lines as well.
I mean, it's an unbelievable league for developing talent as well. So we've seen so many come through. My one is maybe a little bit more of a recognisable name. Obviously, been in the headlines a little bit. Angelo Stiller. Such an incredible midfielder playing for Stuttgart, who's only recently turned 24, German international, originally from the Bayern Munich academy. So it's funny that Bayern are now looking at him again, along with Real Madrid. I'd be surprised if Real Madrid actually do it, considering all the other midfield talent they've got there in that side. And like with what Xabi Alonso is wanting to do, how's he going to operate with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who you assume might kind of step in as well?
Is this the guy with the distinctive nose?
Yes. It is.
Right,
it is indeed. Okay. It is indeed. But he's more than that. He is really more than that. He is, especially in that comparison to Wharton. I know I kind of mentioned that Wharton not necessarily the most defensive player. He is. And he is definitely much more than Stiller is. Stiller, I think, is better, though, with progressing the ball than Wharton. Wharton's obviously fantastic at moving that ball forward. He's incredible at it. And there's a reason why people want him, because he can break up play and can push that ball forward. Stiller can break up play, but he's much better at the passing style of the game. Absolutely incredible at it. In tight spaces, can dribble out and also find tight passes to make. Can play the long balls, can play the balls to the other side, cross-field balls, all of those kind of stuff, and do it to a T. Like left-footed, does it perfectly. Done such a good job. As mentioned, great in tight spaces. He's compared to in Germany to Toni Kroos. That's how Real Madrid fans are also doing it, and why they get so excited about possibly his links there, because he could be that next Toni Kroos for them, despite them having Camavinga and Tchouameni and Jude Bellingham and all the other incredible players they have. I think the other side to it, maybe why we've not seen Stiller's defensive game as much, is because he's not asked to do that as much as Wharton is. Yeah. There are other players in that Stuttgart side that are being asked to win that ball back. His job is to then push it forward. Whereas Wharton is being asked to do that a lot more in the Premier League.
Yeah. They're a bit more of a possession-based side, Stuttgart, under Hoeneß.
Yes.
They had a bit of a struggle this season, but they had a load of injuries. I think the season before, when they got into the Champions League, they were excellent, one of the most progressive teams in Germany. So I think, Stiller... Still's
exactly.
Great.
And there's their strikers obviously was ripping up for the under-21s yesterday as well, who maybe we'll touch upon later.
What's his value?
Pricing. So this is where things get really interesting. Supposedly, the fee is £34 million.
That's a bargain.
It rise. There's a potential it might end up like with battles or whatever. It could rise to 45. But £34 million is what's being touted on kind of newspapers and websites and whatnot as the fee for him. The guy's also, very physical. He's taller than you think. He's about 6 foot as well, which I think is needed in now's kind of modern game at times. Saying that, obviously Pedri's not that at all, and he's doing a very, very good job. Linked with Real Madrid, linked with Bayern Munich. Supposedly somewhere between 35 and 45, I think, is a fee that will get you in.
Nice.
Considering you're going to end up paying upwards of 70 for the likes of Wharton or Belabor.
This is a tricky one because the price discrepancy is quite big. I think this is more of a...
I've gone for the value.
You've gone for the value move. You've gone for a slightly more glitz and glamour move.
But yeah.
I'm going to side on the basis that we're looking for an alternative...
We'll look at the hidden gems specifically.
On the basis that we're looking for an alternative to Wharton or Belabor, which is mega money.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on Zach's answer here, and I think there's more experience. Sevilla this season only just stayed up. They finished like 17th in La Liga, so they're really... That club is on its arse.
Yeah,
so I think if you're Brentford, then we're looking at the options that you're putting forward.
Yeah.
If you're Brentford going, how on earth do we place Norgard and do the whole progress, develop a player? That's what we're going for. On the basis of the challenge at heart, which is to find an alternative to big players, I'm going to pick Zach on this occasion.
I think that makes sense. I think with Stiller, I think as well one thing, I think he actually suits the move to a top club a little bit more maybe than some of the other players, just because one thing he does really well, if you're playing for like a Arsenal or whoever, you're going to come up against teams that are sitting in that 6, and obviously they've sorted their business, but hypothetically, someone that can just sit in at the base of that midfield, move the ball from side to side, move that low block around. I do think Stiller might struggle a bit with the physicality in the Prem, but I actually think like he would be better almost at Real Madrid, where you are going to have a lot of that ball, just dictating, spraying, like Kroos used to do. I think he could be a phenomenal player for them. So I'm really interested to see where he actually goes, but yeah.
It will be an interesting one for Stiller, that's for sure. The next issue we're going to look at is the big one. One of the ones that's spoken about a lot at the moment, striker.
Oh, yes.
Benjamin Sesko, Gyokeres, even Victor Osimhen, all looking at fees of upwards of £60 million. And so this position is tough, very tough. Lots of clubs looking for that striker. I can go with this one. I first thought, let's have a look at what old Samuel Omeridian's doing at Porto. Yeah. Unbelievably well. Really well. Also done really well for them, obviously, in the Club World Cup as well. I actually think he's taken his mother's surname now. He's not being known as Omeridian.
Done really well at Porto in the Club World Cup. They're out.
No. He did well. He played well, but also for that because season last year, he did very well. Did a very good job. Obviously, but he himself is probably costing you £60 million now after they bought him last season.
On a sneaky deal. I remember AVB being very happy about it.
Yeah, he was. So I've gone back to Ligue 1. And I'm looking at Arnaud Calimendo, the striker for them, 23-year-old, was a silver medalist in Thierry Henry's French team. And he's from PSG's academy, the famed academy that's obviously seen so many incredible players come from there. Can also operate on the right if needed as well, so slightly versatile, but played a lot of the time in that striker mold, would kind of drift off into the right-hand side as well. Tidy in the ball, very quick feet, very quick in general. And although he's only 5'9", still good in the air. Several of his goals last season coming from headers and beating defenders at corners or from crosses, doing a very good job at that as well. 17 goals and 4 assists in Ligue 1 last year. Good with the ball at his feet, good with both feet as well, can score goals with his right foot or his left foot. Happy to drop and collect the ball and play a pass, but also happy to make runs in behind, can do both sides of that game equally well. So the owner of Rennes did come out and say, we are probably going to have to sell him. And the fee supposedly for him is 30 to 35 million pounds. And when a lot of these strikers are being quoted at 60 plus, there's good value here. Again, 23 years old, Spurs and Newcastle have been linked with him. And I think this is a player that can still develop as well. So yeah, 30 to 35 million pounds for Arnaud Calimendo.
Yeah, I like Calimendo. He's linked quite heavily with Spurs. YouTube video coming out on the Ben channel soon. He's really good. Like Defoe kind of profile is kind of how I sort of compared him.
Yeah, okay.
Very sharp finisher in and around the box. I think a lot of those goals, around half those goals were penalties last season. That's the only thing I would say. But he has got, he's improved. He has improved quite a lot year on year. And he was at PSG's academy. He's a really good talent. And I think
he had a great loan spell away from PSG, if I remember.
He was at Lens,
yeah, that's right.
That's kind of where he made his name a little bit. And I think the thing with Calimendo is if I'm, again, putting my Spurs hat on, the reason I like him for us is because he's quite a different profile to someone like Solanke. Solanke likes to drop deep, let runners go in behind him, whereas I'd be looking at us for a striker to go, right, we want someone to make those runs in behind to stretch a little bit more to complement our other strikers. So, and again, I think other clubs that will be looking for a different kind of striker to what they've already got, I think Calimendo is a good fit. I've gone, if you want some even better value, I've gone for Jonathan David. Because this is the summer. Like he will be a free agent this summer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
right?
he is. Yeah, Napoli.
I know. Obviously, a lot of people are looking at agent fees and all that kind of thing. Yeah,
Only wants 15 million euros.
Don't worry about it.
15 or 50.
15. Apparently, that's how much he's represented
for a sign-on bonus.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably worth about.
I mean, they would have paid more for him for a transfer fee.
Yeah, exactly. I think Jonathan David, he kind of gets. It's so weird. Like I always feel like with Jonathan David, am I missing something? Because he gets linked with a move away every single year to good clubs for the most part as well, and it never really happens.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's obviously run his contract down, and I think there really is a player in there. I've always maybe been a bit hesitant and put off just by the fact that, well, if he's that good, then why hasn't anybody gone for him? But maybe it's just that was his prerogative to run his contract down.
It's not just that; like he still scores goals.
Yeah. Champions League,
and more every year.
Yeah, look at these
well.
numbers. Yeah, one of the top scorers in the Champions League. It's like, I look at how well he did for Lille this season, and yet you're right. Why has no one just gone? Oh yeah,
we'll take him for that.
Here it is.
Yeah.
He was available for like 30 million or less in January, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
He was there.
I think as well, like if you're United, again, if you're talking about the way, I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is a really good option for whoever is looking for a decent, cheaper striker this summer. And again, United, obviously, Gyokeres, they're obviously looking at Gyokeres as someone who's a bit more of a, he's not just it's going to sound stupid, but he's a bit of a battering ram, but he's also a very, very good finisher. Profiles differently to what they've got with Xerxes. A little bit like Højlund. I think there was hope that maybe Amorim could turn Højlund into
Gyokeres 2.0.
Yeah, that's not happening. So I think if they weren't to get him, again, having a striker like Callum Hudson-Odoi or David, who is happy to do that channel running, and it's just a bit more of a fox in the box. Like Xerxes really lacks that box presence. The rest of his game, I think, is fairly complete. Like, again, I'm not saying he's like a all-round number 9, but his link-up play is really, really good. And again, if they're going to bring in Mbeumo and Cunha, those runners in beyond him suits him. But if you want to change things up and have someone who is just a bit more of a box presence, a poacher, I think David is just insane value on a free.
Yeah, I agree. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is... I like him for Newcastle. I like what you said about that. I think
man the right as well, can't he?
I feel like he's more of a right winger / inside forward kind of thing. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
His movement inside the box is pretty good. Likes a cutback to get into that space. He's an instinctive finisher as well. Like I said, I think when I look at Callum Hudson-Odoi, I kind of see a little bit Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah.
That kind of striker.
No, I just think as an alternative to Gyokeres, I think Jonathan David is one of the prominent, just straight out centre forwards at the moment in Europe.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on. I read that he wants like €5 million a season. Napoli reportedly offered him 4.
He spoke to Barca as well. Barca.
Yeah, he's been holding out for the Barca move. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
He's wanted that for a long time.
So he only wants about like $100,000 a week, which isn't out of the ordinary of most of these big teams.
But huge money on
I'm so confused. You're right. Like, Napoli would rather spend 50 to 45 million on Darwin Nunez and get this bloke on a free.
Is it because he's not an out-and-out striker? Because like he is more of that like second striker mould.
Don't know.
In position,
he's a better goal scorer than Nunes.
He's versatile, isn't he? He can play kind of centre forward, a striker. I wonder if it's that, and also I wonder if other clubs are just thinking, look, let's get to the end of the window, see who's left, and then we can.
He's a market
as well. If he's free,
he's
going to be free then as well.
There's such a lack of strikers, and here is one. I don't know. So I'm gonna go for Jonathan David on this instance.
Nice. Okay, no worries, Jonathan David for the striker mould. There you guys have it. Let's move on to our centre back position then. We put this one in the mould of Marc Guehi, mainly because Dean Huijsen has already gone. But Marc Guehi, who I think fee-wise we don't know, but there's rumours that Palace want 50, even though he's got a year left on his deal. And so, the centre-back mould generally, rather than spending 60, 50 million pounds on a centre-back, I mean, if you get Marc Guehi for 30, perfect. Definitely do that. Don't know if you'll find much cheaper value there. However, that's the rough fee. A centre-back, 50 million pounds was the thing. We're trying to find some value for that. Benjamin, you can go first, my friend.
Yeah, so my initial shout was Castello Luqueba at Leipzig, but I actually think he'd probably end up being more expensive than Marc Guehi.
He's going to be. That's not an alternative.
No, but I was like, he was the one that popped into my mind straight away because I think he's such a strong channel defender, good on the ball, left-footed as well to come in and slot alongside Van Dijk maybe at Liverpool. But yeah, with the situation that Guehi finds himself in, he would actually end up being more expensive. So I looked into the Eredivisie and came back with Ryan Flamingo, who is Dutch. Great name as well, by the way. I think you should go on that name.
Zach, you're going to struggle to win this one with a name like that.
Right-footed. I think playing for the Dutch under-21s at the moment in the Euros, ranks compared to top 7 league under-23 defenders, ranks first for touches, first passes completed, forced passes completed, progressive actions, progressive passes, good on the ball, line breaker, out from the back. Really good talent. I think a lot of teams will be looking at him off the back of the Euros as well. I know they've been knocked out now, the Dutch, but I think he was playing in the Euros. I'm not 100% sure actually, but really good season at PSV, up and coming. Would probably be available for, again, you're going to struggle to find better value than Marc Guehi, considering the fact that you could get him for around 35, 40 million.
Depends if Palace can play hardball.
I think Palace might. That's the thing. I think Palace are going to play hardball this summer and risk losing him on a free next year. I genuinely think they will do that, which, but still, I think Marc Guehi for 50 million is really good value as well. So I think, I'm going to put forward Ryan Flamingo. Luqueba, though, I do think is someone to look out for if someone is going for a bigger, more expensive centre-back. Obviously, Leipzig have this incredible track record bringing through these young French centre halves. And that's someone that if you're looking for a centre back, maybe in the £80 million category, you get the cable for like 40 million. But I'm going to put forward Ryan Flamingo, good up and coming young Dutch defender, great name as well.
Okay, really good name. I've gone a little bit closer to home for this one, and I think you can get value for him, especially considering the situation that is around him right now. I'm going to be putting forward Renato Vega. Renato Vega is a really interesting one. Obviously, Chelsea brought him in last year, I think, for
centre half.
Well, yeah, he wants to be a centre half. That's the whole reason that this situation has happened. That's the whole reason he went on loan to Juventus to play left centre back for them, and did a pretty good job there. Juventus fans really, really liked him there. I think Chelsea brought him in for...
Like, why have we bought Lloyd Kelly instead?
Yeah, Chelsea bought him in for £12 million, and as I said, 6 months later, he ended up at Juventus. Your tweet coming back there to maybe go in your favour, actually.
Yeah, he actually did. So, hold that, Chelsea fans.
So, yeah, he had a good spell at Juve in the end, played in the Champions League as well for them. The whole reason this happened is Chelsea brought him in to be left back and DM cover for this season. They looked at him to be the kind of replacement of Cucurella if Cucurella was injured or whatnot. He himself, after playing for the first few months, wanted to play left centre back. This isn't somewhere I think Chelsea wanted to do. They've got Badiashile there, they've got Levi Cole as the number one there, and so that's why this has happened. And he has so many assets to his game. Really good on the ball, really decent in the air, 6'2", physical, got decent pace behind him, smart with his decision making, aggressive and physical when he needs to be as well, can make the last ditch tackle. Super smart, I think, with a lot of his decision making. And I think you forget, I don't know why about him, he is only 21 years old.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, feel like, I don't know if it's just because he looks older, especially with that tash he has sometimes. He was like,
and he's
24,
big and strong as well. Like
he was like 24 or 25. Bought from Basel, yeah. He was originally from Sporting as well. Yeah. But for some reason, I always looked at him thinking he was much older and kind of had a shock thinking, oh my God, he's only 21 years old. So will develop as well. I think this is a deal where Chelsea could look at it and go, if someone offered them £25 million, £30 million, they've doubled their money and some. I think Chelsea walk away and go, look, we get rid of a player who doesn't want to necessarily be here, and we might have a bit of an issue of getting him into the side anyway. We double our money and some. The club buying him, still get him for a fee where they go, oh, pretty good money there, pretty good, well spent. He can still cover for this club left back. He can still cover DM, even though he wants to be a left centre back. Can play in a back three, can play in a back two. Back four, does the job. I think can tick so many boxes.
Back two, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, back four.
Who's the manager?
So yeah, Renato Vega is my suggestion here for the centre back one. Maybe not as experienced as.
Well,
some, but...
Ben, I was going to say you had me at Flamingo, but you're at a slight detriment in that I've actually watched Renato Vega live quite a few times, and I have seen him run around, and I remember thinking, this guy's a bit of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
They brought him in from Basel. It's one of those weird, amid the strange transfers that Chelsea do, I thought this guy's actually quite good.
I think in a real world, I think in an ideal world, Chelsea would want to keep him.
Yeah. And I think that
he
really
wants to play, doesn't
that really strong loan spell at Juventus is very telling. To go somewhere and spend 6 months somewhere and turn it on.
Yeah.
And becoming the
especially in like quite
an
underperforming Juventus team as well. Probably.
Yeah. So on this occasion, if it is 30 million, on the basis that it's 30 million, I'm going to go with Vega.
Yeah.
Over Flamingo. But get that man in the Premier League and get me that shirt.
Yeah.
So he needs to almost play for like Inter Miami. You know, he needs to be that nice pink,
in the pink kit.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
I think Vega. Again, I think with Liverpool. So if you're Gay's going to go to Liverpool, probably, right? So if they're looking at a centre-back alternative, someone who does have that versatility, if they're not going to bring in another, or say if they're going to sell Tsimikas and Robertson, I mean, we've had this conversation on loads, but
Kirk comes
bringing in, that's why I think someone like Hatto would be so smart for Liverpool. But again, he's going to cost you more than probably Marc Guehi is. So, but I quite like that. I think Vega with his physicality is a Premier League player, 100%.
Yeah,
from what I've. After doing my research, after not knowing who he was in the first game of the season last year.
Well, he was one of the best players against City.
He came on, I think.
Came on the bench.
Yeah,
because my tweet was he was getting brought on, and I was like, honestly, who is that guy? Because it was like it was while Chelsea was signing all these youngsters, and I was like, another one. I was like, who is he? And Chelsea fans, every time he does something, even when he's not playing for you, like to remind me of him. So just let it go.
Well, they might let him go. It's an interesting one. Obviously, he also didn't go with the Chelsea squad to America for the Club World Cup either, which he was dropped from that, which supposedly, if you believe reports, he said he was quite surprised by. So yeah, that could be one to keep an eye on this summer. The next position is goalkeeper. Diogo Costa was the kind of big name being spoken about, considering he has a release clause of £63 million. Supposedly, Porto will actually accept a little bit less than that. But still looking for probably 40 upwards to get his services. And goalkeeper's a big position for numerous clubs this season. Man United are looking for one. Chelsea, obviously, were looking at Mike Maignan, so we're possibly looking at one. Aston Villa, Newcastle, lots of clubs looking. Man City, obviously looking for possibly a replacement for Ederson. Lots of clubs looking for a goalkeeper. And so I've gone for Miles Villa at Roma in Serie A.
Oh,
just won
Serie A
goalkeeper of the year for Serie A. And you know what? He has grown a lot since that game against Manchester United for Benfica when he was a teenager and made a huge...
Oh, the Rashford free kick?
Yeah,
that was
made a
him.
huge mistake. Yeah, that was
do you know
him.
why? Because Jose embraced him. Jose gave him the...
I think Jose definitely would take a bit of credit for him because he has come on leaps and bounds. Yeah, definitely wouldn't.
Well, Jose signed him at Roma.
He did, yeah. No goalkeeper across Europe's top 5 leagues have had a better save percentage than Miles Villa. He also had the most clean sheets in Europe's top 5 leagues last season as well. And he's a really, really good shot stopper. I think where he excels is his reaction and reflexes. He's able to kind of react to situations super, super impressively. I think he does a lot of the basics you want in your goalkeeper well. So he claims the ball to a very good degree. Not maybe like David Raya level, but that's like David Raya, the best in the world at kind of claiming crosses. He can play with the ball at his feet. I wouldn't say he is maybe a superstar at it like Ederson, but can do that side of the game as well. Can also be improved, but I think it depends what system you move into as well and what your manager wants you to do on how vital that is needed for him. Like he can do it to a good degree, but is a very, very good shot stopper. I think he's really good in 1v1 situations at making himself big and smothering the ball when needed. And so, yeah, does a lot of the things that are good. And as I said, last season won the Serie A goalkeeper of the year. Roma have, I think, a good history of goalkeepers too. If you think back to Alisson, even Szczesny, when he was there for Roma, did a very, very, very good job.
Yeah.
Was Raul Patricio there?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Rui Patricio was ahead of him for ages. And I was like, and he was playing so badly. And I remember thinking, just give Sevilla a chance. Like, it can't be any worse than fucking Patricio. Sorry.
And he has taken that chance. He's taken got very spicy.
Well, he plays for Al Ain now. Yeah, he's just been in the Club World Cup actually. If anyone's been playing.
How things can change. But yeah, I also love the fact that he wears 99. That's a little personal thing for me.
I rate that.
I do enjoy that.
Could you do that in the Premier League though? Would you be allowed?
I thought. Does the Premier League have a max?
I think it's max 50.
There are some rules. There are some leagues.
Same as in Spain. I think Spain you can only be max 25 unless you're a youth player.
Okay. Well, very interesting.
Can you tell me, has there been, so Roma, Europa League next year.
Yeah.
Has there been any noise about him leaving?
Man United, supposedly rumoured. I think, you know what rumours are like. Depends what you want to believe.
I do. Yeah.
I think fee wise,
information, I believe it.
fee wise, you're looking at between 30 to 38 million pounds. And it's not, if there are rumours of Diogo Costa going for 40 to 45, it's not that much cheaper, but it's cheaper. And he's a little bit of a hidden gem. I think when a lot of the guys being spoken about, especially for goalkeeper at the moment, Chevalier is being spoken about, Petrovic obviously been spoken about. We've seen Mike Maignan obviously with the Chelsea move, James Trafford at Burnley. Yeah. So it's a name that I think has not been spoken about, which could be good fun. They are also, it's an interesting situation where there are apparently rumours that he might sign a new deal at Roma as well. So it's a kind of time to pounce if you're going to be able to get him for a little bit cheaper. So yeah. That is the option. Miles Villa.
Once again, how old is he and who does he play for internationally?
So he is 25 years old. So Serbia have been asking for him to play for them, but he wants to play for Belgium.
Right.
So that's the situation at the moment for him there. Belgium obviously have Thibaut Courtois. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't. He's not really in the international setup at the moment. He keeps falling out with all the managers.
Okay.
Because Matt Sells.
Matt Sells number one. Well, the other one as well they have is the youngster Mike Penders, who they put a lot of hope on, who's obviously at Chelsea, who the Belgian FA put a lot of hope on, I think, for the future. So yeah.
Okay,
but there are rumours that he actually might go and agree to Serbia.
I think it's an interesting one with the goalkeepers because I think there are more experienced goalkeepers that you can get some very good value in this summer, like you mentioned Maignan, Emi Martinez leaving Aston Villa as well, obviously on the more experienced older side, but it kind of depends what you're looking for. But I think Diogo Costa, who's obviously 25, has been linked with Man City and they're going to be looking for another goalkeeper for the long term. So I think like you said, he's got around £60 million release clause. He's got 2 years left on his deal. So they might not maybe ask for less money, but they might ask for a different structure of the payment. So I've gone for a couple of goalkeepers that will be cheaper. I think Trafford is an obvious shout for someone who's long-term. Could probably get him for around 30 million, 40 million. But I've gone also in the Portuguese league with Trubin at Benfica. Played really well in the Club World Cup yesterday for them against Bayern. And again,
big guy.
I looked at, with Costa, I think the reason that City wanted him was mainly down to his distribution, his ball playing ability. Obviously, good goalkeeper as well, and you have to come with that. Same with Trubin as well. Good shot stopper, but his distribution's really, really good. Likes to play the ball out from the back. Can go long at times as well, but he's very comfortable in terms of inviting the press. He joined them for around 10 million euros. He's contracted for another 3 years. So probably looking at around 45 million, maybe high 30s into 40, 45. And then Costa, you'd probably be looking at, nearer 50, 55 probably. So for the sake of 15, 20 million, I think couple of years younger, good distribution, like I said. I quite like Trubin. I like the look of him. Big frame, obviously, as well. Made a few good really reaction saves yesterday against Bayern. But yeah, Trubin would be my shout. But again, Trafford, I think, is a bit of a no-brainer for someone who wants a long-term goalkeeper as well.
That someone is Newcastle, no? I thought that
true.
was...
Trafford.
Yeah, true.
Seems
but I think you could also maybe see him at City as well, give him a year kind of working under Edison, or sort of understudying Edison then next year. A bit like, where they brought... Obviously, City brought in Joe Hart when he was kind of that sort of stage as well. But Trubin would be my shout.
This is a really tricky one, actually, Anatoly Trubin. He had a bit of a stinker, if I remember correctly. I can't remember if it was Trubin or Lunin in the World Cup.
Lunin had a stinker for Ukraine.
Was it Lunin?
Lunin had a stinker for Ukraine, yeah.
So I think Trubin would have been, back up at the time.
Against Romania, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
If the fees are what you're telling me, and Roma are going to do that, then I'm going to go with you, Zach, again. I'm sorry, Ben. It's tough.
It's game over. It's 4-2.
It's
one more position.
I think I really like him. And I think that young experience he had at Benfica is so huge in shaping the keeper that he's become today. And not only did he perform last year, he performed under a circumstance where there were 3 different managers at Roma. And I think, obviously, against Ranieri, when things really sort themselves out, that's massive. But he's playing against, in my opinion, better competition week in, week out in that division. They are different profiles of keeper. Yeah. They are very different keepers.
Yeah.
I think for me, he's more of a modern shot stopper. So, although Trubin, one day I'm sure will be a very good deal. If you're saying he's available for 30 to 35 million pounds, then Mile's the man.
37, I think, is the max. I think 37 is the max, but
let's see.
We'll see. Shock moves to 50 million. But yeah, okay, interesting. Then we got our final position, which is the right wing position.
Ben wins. That's it. Don't worry.
Bryan Mbeumo, obviously linked to Manchester United. It looks like the fee could be upwards of £60 million for him. A lot of money to get his services. No matter, I still think he's a very good player, but it's a lot of money. So yeah, we're looking at a hidden gem for an expensive right wing position. So Ben, I'll let you go first, mate.
Yeah, there's a couple. Again, I've already said him for another player, but again, I chucked Harvey Elliott back into here as someone who's a versatile right winger, but obviously I've already had that one. So Zagrova at Lille as well. I think a bit more of a
Kosovan wonder kid.
Yeah, he's a bit more of a creative right winger, I think, as well. A different sort of profile to Mbeumo. It's quite hard because I think Mbeumo is quite unique on the market. Obviously, other alternatives to someone like an Mbeumo who, I've said his name two different ways there. I think it's Mbeumo. As someone who likes to excel running in behind is someone like Anthony Elanga. But again, you're looking at like the same sort of price. So again, there's no value. Like this is the thing. Mid-table clubs have never had it so good in the Premier League in terms of selling players. There's just not that much value if you're looking to go and get someone like Man United have always done this. They've just spent £62 million on Cunha, 60, 70 million pounds on Mbeumo as well. Like there's not that much. They're good players, don't get me wrong, 100% good players, but there's not that much value. So if you're looking for cheaper options, I definitely think you have to go outside the league. Bakwa at Strasbourg is a winger who's a bit of a different profile. Left-footed, can play on the right and the left, very tricky. His output is not that great. I think he only got 6 goals last season, but again, young player. Is it a good place to go and develop as well at Strasbourg? I think he'll get a move at some point. I think Zhigrova would be my shout though. Bit more creative, bit more of a slightly different profile. There's not that many profiles that similar to Mbeumo in terms of excelling running behind. Johan Bakayoko again is someone that
every year he's always rooming, isn't he? Always.
Brentford are apparently looking at him again to come in and replace Mbeumo. Like, obviously they tried to get him a few years ago. Record bid of around 38 million pounds, which I think was accepted by PSV, but he didn't want to make the move because he wanted to play Champions League football. But I think if you're Bakayoko, again, Brentford...
Is he not more like a winger though?
That's what I would stick with Zhigrova.
Yeah, I would go
alternative.
No, yeah, Bakayoko was just someone I think like Zhigrova would be my one.
Just wanted to say a name to show you know European football, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But Bakayoko, it's like I do think though with him, it's like you do need to. I think he needs to drop this thing of like I need to play Champions League football. I need to play Champions League football because I think there's a real talent in there, but he hasn't really shown it on a consistent enough level to warrant the sort of move that he actually wants. And I think going to Brentford to maybe replace Mbeumo, even though you're kind of walking into a bit of an unsure situation, would be good for him. But yeah, again, different kind of profile, more of a winger. Does love to cut inside and shoot on that left foot though. He's probably got more power. He's probably more tricky than Mbeumo. But I'd go for Zhigrova. I think he's my shout. I think he's a Prem player in the making.
Okay. No, I think that's fair enough. One of the interesting things I thought about the move for Bryan Mbeumo is what happens to Amad Diallo? Like, I know Amorim is trying to play a back three and wants his right wing back to basically be a winger, right? But I don't know if that quite works in the Premier League at the moment. And I worry slightly for Amad that like you're not going to see the best of him in that position. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is able to have free roaming fun. Like he does work hard for the team as well. He will track back. But I do slightly worry that if he's not playing in that kind of right attacking role, that maybe he's kind of not shunned a little bit, but like we don't see him to become the main guy as he should be. Yeah. So part of me was thinking, do I suggest maybe that Amad Diallo is almost the cheaper alternative? One, I don't know if he's much cheaper. Two, I don't see Man United actually letting him go.
I'm pretty sure he's signed new contracts in.
I wouldn't do that, Zach. If you want to
trust me, Henry, I'm not. I just wanted to bring up that talking point because obviously we've said here, Bryan Mbeumo is someone who wants to cut in a bit more of an inside forward than a winger. And have I found an inside forward for you? We're going back to Liga, ladies and gentlemen.
I was annoyed when you sent this over yesterday because he's a really good player.
Magnez Akliouche is how it's pronounced, I'm pretty sure. Magnez Akliouche. He's a French-Algerian right winger from the Monaco Academy, playing for Monaco, 23 years old. But as I said, he is more of that kind of right attacking role than a winger. And I think that's where he needs to be. Like, he needs to come a bit more centrally because he isn't necessarily the most rapid guy in the world. Whilst he is definitely skillful and flary, he isn't maybe... he hasn't got enough pace, I think, to be able to make it work for him on the wing. If he comes more inside, like he is, that's where I think we can see the future for him. Much like how Bryan Mbeumo has done for his time at Brentford. He's 6 foot as well, so very tall for a kind of a winger role, like that the AC Milan Rafa Leao winger. He's very kind of physical and tall, and he has a lot of those same kind of attributes. Maybe not as strong, but again, he's only 23 years old. He can still grow into that too. Does have a bit of physicality about him, has a wonderful left foot, very kind of Mahrez-y in that way, where he wants to cut in onto his side and put it into that corner. I think maybe it's just because he's French-Algerian, but it does have lots of kind of similarities, especially with the way he wants to do skills on the ball as well. Like, more than happy. Scored an unbelievable bicycle kick last season as well, so has that ability in himself too. Can play in the 10 position, like, because Wirtz has left Leverkusen are trying to buy him this summer as well to play him in that role and put him more into the central position. Monaco are holding out for 45 million quid this summer, which is a lot. A lot more than maybe you'd want to pay for someone who is still pretty raw, but could have that potential to really jump on and grow. 5 goals and 10 assists so far in the campaign just gone. He also got 2 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League as well for Monaco. So he's played on a high stage, on a big stage as well. But definitely creative, got some good passing range in him as well. But I think a very fun player to watch. And who knows, maybe get him slightly cheaper than that, but I think £45 million is what you're looking at. But Bryan Mbeumo could be going for close to 70.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tricky one again.
Magnus Akliush.
It's hard with Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo is he's a very unique type of winger. I think there's
how many goals did Gyokeres score last year?
I'll have a look.
Give me some cold hard numbers.
I'll give you some stats.
Is it 5 and 10? Is it?
Again, he's more.
And that's just in the league, fine.
I think both of the kind of wingers that we've put forward are quite more creative types.
If Gyokeres got some goals in him, then you could be in here.
5'11" as well, so tall boy.
4 goals.
4 goals last season.
Mine's got 5 in the league. So, but creatively,
he's a very fun player. Again, on the Champions League stage as well, I thought he was quite fun to watch. It's hard.
I like him a lot.
Mbeumo's just quite a unique player to replace. And I don't think any of the players that we put forward are inside kind of forwards. I still think bear in mind, it was Newcastle that wanted to go hard for Mbeumo at the start of the summer. They're clearly in for a winger. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Noni Madueke is the player that we should be looking at as a cheaper option, as someone that I thought about as well. But again, I think Madueke will be around 45, 50. So, I'm going to go with Gyokeres.
Sadly, I have to side with Zach again.
That's fine
on this.
I think when he sent it through to me yesterday, I was just like,
I really like that player. I really like that player.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Cool hair as well. Very
cool hair. But Gyokeres a good player and he'll get a move out of Lille at some point.
Okay then, ladies and gentlemen, we've picked some hidden gems that your club must sign instead of overpriced stars. Will they listen to us? Only time will tell.
Stop wasting money.
yeah, it's not wasting money. But I'm very interested where a lot of these guys, because I feel like a lot of the ones we've spoken about seem like they're going to be on the move in some way, shape or form this summer. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are there other alternatives that we've missed out on as well? Get down below there and let me know. Henry Hill, if a lot of people at home want to check you out, where can they go?
Football Joe. Go there, watch our shorts, subscribe to the channel, give us some views, please.
There you have it. Benjamin Bowman.
YouTube, TikTok, just Ben Bowman. You'll find me. You'll find me over there.
Exactly.
Guys, make sure to subscribe. Exactly.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you then. Bye.